I'm here at the Comics Festival in Birmingham with the wonderful illustrator Matt Dixon. Butter him up now and I'll get some good interview questions out of him and answers. And I just want to introduce you to Matt now and say what a pleasure it is to be able to interview you, Matt.
Thank you very much.
I've been a fan of you for a number of years now, as you know. Where did it start for you, this journey into the wonderful painted art that you do now?
Oh, I don't know. I suppose it depends where you want to make that mark, really, because I feel that what I'm doing now, age 43, is really just an extension of the 3-year-old who used to do crayons on my mum's walls. You know, a little bit of interior decorating there. You know, it really is an extension of that. You know, I used to draw spaceships for my friends in the playground at Marston Green Infant School, which isn't all that far away from where we are now. And it's just carried on from there. I used to do pixel art back in the days of the VIC-20 and the Commodore 64 going
back paper.
That's right, yeah.
Back in the classroom.
That's right, yeah. Working all that stuff out. So it's just all snowballed from there, really. I mean, I've been full-time freelance for coming up on 8 years now. So you could count it from there as well if you wanted to. And before that was in the games industry for 12, 13 years.
Wow.
So I suppose I've been a professional, if you like, made my living with art of one sort or another for just over 20 years now, so yeah.
So your experience may be different to mine, because I'm 44, so we're literally the same year in school. Now when I went to art college, in the 1 year I was there, I was totally put off art for life, because at that time, 1989, 1990, it was advertising brief, they didn't want to know about comics.
Yep.
Was that a similar experience? And if it was, what got you to just carry on and be determined to do what you loved the most?
Right. Well, my experience was almost exactly the same, except that I didn't get as far as going to art college. I started doing, I've always enjoyed art, obviously, but there's always been a definite separation between the stuff that I enjoyed painting, which was, you know, well, exactly what I paint now, monsters and aliens and robots and stuff like that. And the sort of stuff which lived in the sort of the academic world of art, which was, well, for me, GCSE, art teachers, and stuff like that. It was always very separate. And as you say, there was never a place for a Judge Dredd or anything like that I might have wanted to draw. So I started doing art and art history at A-level, which I thought would be you know, a little bit more grown up, perhaps a bit more inclusive of the sort of stuff that I was enjoying. And no, it was quite the opposite. You know, I was just as you say, I was put off drawing anything that was kind of creative or imaginative. So I left, and I kind of put art to one side for a few months, and I went to work in guitar shops. That's my other sort of interest.
I could never tell.
But yeah, you know, I think it helped to focus my attention on just doing the stuff which I enjoyed. I didn't ever think that art would be a career because of the information I'd got from sort of the academic side of art. Although I realise now that the sort of education I was getting from sort of the GCSE A-level system in the UK at the time, you know, not really representative. There are a lot of great art courses out there. Particularly these days, I've spoken to loads of people at the conventions who've had a really good experience at art college systems. But it wasn't for me. So it focused me on always doing the stuff that I enjoyed. Rather than trying to please other people or do what they thought was right or wrong or whatever, just follow my heart, really. It sounds a bit cheesy, but if I'm enjoying it, then it doesn't matter if it sells at the end. It doesn't matter if anybody else likes it. I'm enjoying the process, and that really is at the core of everything I do now. Even when I'm working for other people on their ideas, their briefs, their concepts, I still try and base it around what I'm going to enjoy, what I find pleasurable about the creation. It gives me more energy to push through, even if it's an idea which isn't my own.
So what we're hearing is that, you know, the education system for many of us lets down. You went off on your own, so are you telling me that over the years that you have, this is all self-taught, I suppose, as well as taking from diverse sources, whether it's science fiction, whether it's horror, whether it's even classical Hollywood?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, self-taught is, I always feel that's a little bit sort of self-aggrandising almost. Oh yes, I taught myself how to do all this, you know, and now I'm a professional. You know, I haven't received any formal training, but I think if you've got that creative urge, you tend to see it in other people's work as well. So I think I owe a debt of gratitude to every other artist, be they a fine art painter from the past, someone from the golden age of American illustration, the guys that used to draw in 2000 AD and White Dwarf and all that other stuff, which really fired my imagination. Those are the people who taught me.
Yes.
I think, through looking at that stuff and wanting to know how the hell you draw all those little goblins, how you draw that dwarf, how you draw those amazing Frazetta sort of fully figured women in the pin-up paintings. Just all that stuff has made me want to do it and get it wrong, and then do it and get it wrong, and keep doing it and getting it wrong until I figured out how to do it and get it right, or at least get it right to my eyes.
I mean, I can certainly see a touch of Rosetta in there. I mean, the master.
Yes.
And I can also see a little touch of Simon Bisley, because you mentioned 2018.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I'm thinking of the era we both grew up, you see.
Yeah.
So that seems to integrate. Now, I know that, certainly for me, what I enjoy the most is, you know, for want of a better phrase, the good girl painting art that you do, the sort of the tongue-in-cheek cheese girl art, I think. I also know you do covers for London Horror Comics Anthology. Is there anything else you're working on, or anything else you can tell us you're working on, even if it's just for your own good self?
Well, the stuff that I'm working on for myself at the moment is the final few paintings for the third collection of my pin-up artwork.
The trading cards.
Not the trading cards. This is the book. So there's Girls on Top 1, Girls on Top 2, and there will be a third, which may or may not be Girls on Top 3, and that's through SQP publications in the States. Once that's done, it's more personal work, and I'm finally getting to grips with the second book of robot art. So that's the personal stuff that's going to go along. I'm also doing a collaboration with my partner Emily Hare. We've got a series of books with a theme. So we've got monsters out there now. We've just recently released fairies. The next book, which will probably come out around about Halloween, will be undead. And then we've got plans for dragons, for aliens, creatures from the deep, all that kind of stuff. So it's nice to have a lot of personal work on the go, because that really is the stuff which is most rewarding. But alongside that, there's lots of other stuff, concepts of video games. I've got a long relationship with the guys at Blizzard, working on Warcraft stuff. So that was the Warcraft trading game, and now they're having great success with their Hearthstone game on tablets and mobile phones. So I'm doing more and more work for that as well. Magazine publications, I do work with Metal Hammer magazine every month. So there's lots of other stuff which keeps me busy, and
More than busy.
yeah, it takes me away from the personal stuff, unfortunately. But you know, I love it all. I love it all. It's an amazing thing.
Just one last question, because you seem to be getting busy. If I took an example of a piece of artwork like this, or even more than one figure, how long would it actually take you from start to finish? And I'm not talking about the roughs and the layouts, because I know that's a big job in its own. But once you're ready to put paint to canvas, how long would it take?
It really depends on the piece. I mean, obviously, the more detail there is in there, the longer it's going to take. But what I tend to do is, I only ever work on one image at a time. Certainly in terms of the personal work. For commissioned illustration, the commercial stuff, obviously, they can have longer deadlines. You can have 2 or 3 on the go at once. Personal stuff, we take that as an example. It's one at a time, and I tend to wait until I'm ready to go. So I chew the idea around in my head for a little while. You know, I've kind of got it fairly well formed in my brain, and then when the moment's right, when I feel the urge, I just dive right in. And some of them, the pin-ups particularly, where it's just a single figure and a fairly rudimentary background, they can happen in a day. That's a long day. Just breaks for just to rest the old arm and get a sandwich in. So it'll be a 9 o'clock start, probably right the way through to maybe midnight if I'm going to do it in a day. But I'm in the zone then, and I really don't want to stop. If I'm feeling it and that flows in me, I don't want to stop. So I try and get them done as quickly as I can. A day is unusual, to be honest. Usually 2 days, maybe 3, depending on the complexity of the painting. But always trying to sort of ride that wave of enthusiasm that arrives just as the sketch is coming together, and I can kind of see it starting to click. Because the bit that comes afterwards is fairly mechanical. It's just colouring in. And I find if it goes on past 3 or 4 days, my enthusiasm can start to wane a little bit, and I want to get on with the next one then. So I never want to rush the end.
Man after my own heart,
Yes.
actually. Well, thank you for your time, Matt Dixon.
You're welcome.
I look forward to meeting you again, as I always do, and hopefully you'll give us another interview another time.
With pleasure.